And I'm here and you're not. Why you do this? What's going on, guys? Oh, another Friday. Another week gone. Is Darren actually going to come back? Oh well. Hey Dark, how are you doing tonight? I think you followed like after I went offline. I'm not sure who you are, but you know what? Thank you so much for the follow. Um 85, so I mean you're around my age somewhere. I'm guessing. That's if you were actually born in 85.
Can't do this without a beer. Or two.
Oh. Check my Facebook. Eat a trouser snake. Wow.
Oh.
We have some aggressive typers today, apparently.
Mm-hmm. That and apparently your stream smells like burnt rubber and poo.
I didn't realize that, but if that's what you're smelling on something that's a digital thing, you might want to get that checked by a doctor.
All right.
That doesn't sound normal.
So what's up, man?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Most things considered all right.
All right. Oh, it's you. Everything makes sense now. You're an asshole, and I love you, but now it all makes sense. And you can go choke on a dick too. I don't really mind. But yeah, man, how are you? And thank you for coming in. Thank you for the follow, dude. It's always great to see people from the past coming in, especially on days like today, because we can actually talk to you guys and actually converse with you guys and actually do something with you guys that isn't just, hey, give me your money. I kind of feel like that's most of what streaming is. It's just me sitting here in front of a camera for 6 hours begging people for money.
It is and it isn't. I mean, like, if you do shit that's entertaining, like today I'm calling.
And of course my mom comes into the time I'm telling someone to choke on a dick. Why? Oh, and he's gone. Oh... No, hey mom, how are you doing? No, Dark is someone that I actually went to high school with. He was also in the army. Really cool dude. Spent a lot of time with him growing up in high school. I don't think you ever actually met him, but yeah, he's a good guy. And I guess now we just gotta wait for Darren to figure out what the hell is going on. Masked, how are you doing over there on YouTube today, my dude? Talking to me on all 3 platforms. Like, it's kind of cool, actually. But
yeah, as I was saying, if you're doing like a good gimmick that's entertaining enough, then that's the service you provide to people. If all you're doing is just playing games or talking with your tits out, be a stripper kind of thing.
Dude, I don't know. Maybe I should actually try talking with my tits out. Maybe we'd get more views. Maybe we would get more likes, follows.
I mean, if there was a way to measure how many people unfollow you, then yeah, that would be.
There is a way. All right, and so over the course of my streaming, I have had about 25 people unfollow me. And the reason that I know this is that I have my follower thing going right here below me, right? Well, right. If that number does not match the actual followers on on Twitch, it means that they have followed, kind of gotten what they wanted, and then left, or I've offended them, or whatever. And so when I was going for that 500 mark, someone wanted to be a dick and literally followed and unfollowed like 3 different times, ticked the number up, and then unfollowed and left me at 99, and I was like 3 over.
Oh shit.
So it's fine. This is the actual account right now, so if you guys unfollow me, eat a cock. I don't care. I hit 500. Like, this is a huge milestone for me. Doing stuff like this for what now? About 2.5 months? Like, actually
Something like
really
that.
getting into it for like 2.5 months?
That'd probably be a fair number.
Well, I mean, shit, I started, like, when I actually started running with, like, you and the Bush Bros and all of that, I had, what, 27 followers?
Yeah, but
Not a problem, Mass.
you have the right idea of doing a game like Diablo that had a um, very small market share. So if it's common to have a market share of like, you know, 1 million fucking viewers.
Yes.
So, and then not only that, you found a we'll call it a gimmick that enabled you to advertise in a certain way for the people that liked playing Diablo. That would basically entice them to follow you. As a result of that, or as a byproduct of that, there's going to be a percentage of people that are going to use you for their own fucking purpose. So they're going to follow you, give you the follow for now, and then a week later fucking become a detractor. And the main reason is you're not a one-trick pony, but you're here for this purpose. So now you're here for two purposes. One's Diablo, one's a just chatting stream. So again, like you have a portion of detractors, you're gonna have a portion of people that followed you for, you know, power leveling or whatever. They're he does a just chatting thing too, and that's gonna steadily grow.
And that's what I was hoping for. And I just think that for both of us, especially you, like, honestly, I just love bringing you into things because you were one of my biggest supporters really going forward when I started the whole thing. Helping me, you know, actually hit that affiliated mark. And then I, like, returned the favor, what, days later, if not a week later. Like, I just, and honestly, it's been a wild ride, and it's been so cool and so fun. Granted, like, right now, I've got me, you, my mom, Alex, and someone else from high school in here. Y'all would probably be in here anyway if I was doing this, because, you know, it's like everyone going to that play back in high school. You know, you want your friends to show up just so it's not an empty audience. Speaking of which, we did I remember this when we did Bye Bye Birdie. Do you remember doing that?
Oh God.
All right. So we did Bye Bye Birdie, and my family wanted to come out, but they wanted to come out early, and there was only one matinee. It was the Saturday matinee. It was literally 2 rows of my family in the audience, and that was it. If my family didn't show up, we would have had an empty audience, completely. Maybe one person. I think someone else's grandmother showed up.
I remember one of the performances being a low number. That might have been the one. And the thing that always, like, it didn't really bug me in theater because, no disrespect to the teacher, but or any other, you know, kid in that classroom or any other aspiring actor or actress, but I was a asshole punk rocker in high school. I did not give 2 fucks about what elective I took as long as it was an easy elective.
Yeah.
So theater just happened to be that, and it was basically a fun class to fuck around in. And admittedly, the improv side did improve wits. You're faster on the you're faster on the draw.
Here's the funniest thing about that. So I've taught at other high schools. I've actually done guest speaking at colleges for improv. I've actually done a lot with improv, considering that I've never really been paid for any of it. I used to coach out at the Livery Theater in Ventura. I was, like I said, I've been a guest speaker up at Sonoma State, down in San Diego, like, all over the place, right? And going through all these high schools and everything else, dude, our little rinky-dink random bunch of people, we were fucking hilarious.
Oh my God. And we were restrained too, because there was only so many things that we could, like, joke about, talk about, or say or whatever. And I pushed the button with the little Robin Williams skit. I think even at one point when I did that monologue, I even threw a cuss word out there.
And you got brown bagged, and you had to play a scene with that paper bag over your head.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and it was great.
But that's just it. So in theater, I just use it as a means to an end.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, I gained some things out of it, but I want to say it was either senior year or post senior year when you guys did Bye Bye Birdie, and the teacher wanted us to go to the rival school to see how they're doing Grease.
Mm-hmm.
And my instant thought was Shakespeare, I get,
Mm-hmm.
because there's no bad Shakespeare play you could fucking choose, and it's always going to be challenging. But if you're going to do something more pop, if Santa Sue is choosing Grease, why are you choosing Bye Bye Birdie? Something nobody really knows.
So it's funny. A lot of it had to do with royalties, and
Sure.
they also had done Birdie, I think, a year or two prior to that.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, Simi was always one or two steps behind the other schools.
Right.
But
well, what's funny is years later, when I got my degree, I learned about a little loophole in tort law that you do not owe royalties if it is done for educational purposes. So
okay, but these shows were not educational purposes. These shows were for profit.
yeah, you can't really call it for profit because a high school or a public school, for that matter, whether it be a fundraiser, whether it be lunch purchases, school book purchases, or anything of that matter, anything done within the school grounds is nonprofit. So when I say the words nonprofit, does that mean that the money they receive is revenue? Of course it is. All right.
Mm-hmm.
The things that they are doing 9 times out of 10 is not for a for-profit basis. So a large corporation, anytime they bring in revenue, it is to increase stockholder equity. It's to increase the growth of the organization so they can grow, be bigger, blah, whatever. All right. In a high school, or any public school for that matter, can't really be a large corporation. You can't have the Simi Valley High School Las Vegas fucking district. You can't really do that. A private school can do that, and that's different. But in a public school, if you were to charge a $5 entry for a play, that's no different than a fundraiser, and you still don't really owe royalties on that. You could fight that and win it.
Right, but okay, so what is the turnaround for that whole thing? Because it is being used is in its entirety, uncut and everything like that. You are in fact getting, because a lot of times by paying those royalties and everything, you're also getting that number of scripts. You can't reproduce those scripts without also getting in some kind of a trouble, educational or not, because those scripts are copywritten.
The loophole in that is, number one, it's all high school fucking students. All right. They don't know dick about fucking stage up, stage down, stage left, stage right. They don't know shit about audio cues or lighting cues or certain acts or positioning or dialect or they didn't go to fucking Juilliard and be able to enunciate to the back row. They don't know shit. And what they're doing in terms of that play is they're doing it for an educational purpose. And the hilarious thing is all of the audience members know this. They're not going to some fucking play at Madison Square Garden. They're not seeing a, fucking Avengers movie where they're going to expect something out of this world and get their mind fucking blown. Mm-hmm. No, these are anywhere between 14 and 18-year-olds that don't know shit about acting. And they're learning as they go along, not just in the development of the play, but at the same time, the performance of it. Because guess what? How many times did we do plays that we fucked up?
Every one of them.
Bingo. And they're all learning curves. So even the play in on itself is an educational moment.
Okay, so let's back away from Simi, who was arguably a sports school.
Sure, we'll call it that.
Well, it's not like it was a performing arts school. I mean, we got shafted in everything that we tried doing, even though we had cabinets and fucking, halls lined with awards from the shit that we had actually done. against other schools throughout the country and throughout the state.
Yeah, I don't know what awards we got while I was there, but trust me, we didn't get no damn awards when he was. And funny story behind that. Old friend of mine, I think he was in the same grade as me. Super skinny, but as a result, he was super fast. And when we would do PE, I almost said PT like it's military. When we were doing PE,
institutionalized.
Yeah, right. Trying to undo the control.
Sir, may I go to the bathroom? What?
Sir, everyone reports is ordered. Shit. So this one dude, we had PE, and we wound up doing PE with majority of the major roster of the varsity football team.
Okay.
And this guy was called Matt. Not only fucking hilarious, but we would all be on one team and the varsity would be on the other team.
Mm-hmm.
And, they're thinking in their heads, oh, we're just, this is just practice for us. It's just a warm up, whatever. And Matt's like, I'll fucking show them. Receives the ball. I shit you not, that dude could sprint at 10 to 12 miles an hour and do a perfect right angle, right turn at the same fucking speed. Like, just big L. And you could not catch him. And he ran all the way at the end of the field. And the coach was like, the coach that was there, he's like, why don't you join the football team? Because y'all suck. Yeah, so but I don't know what awards we got when I was in high school. But
well, no. The thing is that all of the money that was from boosters and all that other stuff went to football, went to basketball. Like, we actually had a good basketball team while I was there.
So, yeah.
We had a good volleyball team. We had a lot of Mormons. I don't know what it is, guys, but Mormons play Mormons play volleyball.
Yeah, they played in suit and tie as well.
Okay? Like, I don't know what it is. I even asked when I used to be a driving school instructor, and I would pick someone up and, like, be driving them around. You get the small talk of, so what school, what extracurriculars and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, they're like, oh yeah, I play volleyball. And I'm like, all right, please don't be offended by this, but are you Mormon? And like, I'm saying, like, 19 out of 20 times the answer was yes. The only no was the female players. So apparently female volleyball players are not Mormon, but the male volleyball players across the board. So apparently Brigham Young has the world's best volleyball team. I don't understand this. But basically it was volleyball, and most of the Eagle Scouts that I met, or the guys doing Eagle Scouts, were also Mormon. But anyway, so we had a good golf team, we had a decent tennis team. Like, I loved the tennis coach. Do you remember Wickwire, the math teacher?
It's a little familiar.
Anyway, kind of a younger dude. All the girls had the hots for him. I mean, he was a sexual harassment suit just waiting to happen.
Yep.
Awesome guy though. Actually, Alex and I had him in 9th grade for Math A, pre-algebra.
Okay.
Funny story about Math A, and I'll get to that stuff later. But anyway, we had some decent programs. Our football team was trash. I don't think our varsity team won a single game the entire 4 years I was there.
Yeah, my story should iterate the fact that our high school football team was trash.
All right. But then you take a school like Santa Sue, who is a performing arts school now, or Birmingham, which are performing arts schools out in the valley. Like, right. They're... Go ahead.
I always remembered Royal was the sports school, Santa Sue was the art school, and Simi High was the, whatever's in between are the rejects.
I thought that was Apollo, but we'll just stick with that.
Apollo's a special school.
I wouldn't talk too much shit. The people there will shoot you still.
Exactly.
Anyway, but
well, back then they would. Now, probably not so much.
I don't know, man. I mean, Simi's nothing but a freaking heroin town anyway anymore.
No, Simi changes its drug of choice like it's the flavor of the decade. So for a while in the mid 2000s, yeah, it was heroin. In the latter 2000s, it became coke, which is the drug of choice in Newbury Park.
Personal experience here, Darren, or are we just going off of a friend told me?
Not personal experience, but let's just say I've had to walk away from a lot of situations. So
good on you.
Yeah. Well, the only drug I ever chose to do was marijuana, and I've never thought marijuana was exclusively a horrible drug or a gateway drug or anything like that. But that's the only one other than getting drunk, I ever really cared to do.
Mm-hmm.
Never had a desire to do anything else really. And I watched a lot of people in my latter teens make those horrible mistakes, and I'm like, okay, that's what happens. I don't need to involve myself in that.
So basically, everyone stay in school, don't do drugs.
Sure.
Brought to you by Twitch and the Ad Council.
Brought to you by Twitch.
Twitch doesn't actually monetize me, and although if you want to sponsor me, I'm open. Continue.
Right. But the shit that I did do, which was just alcohol and marijuana, I absolutely should have been expelled. I remember bringing vodka hot chocolates to school.
Which we don't condone, kids.
No, it's a bad idea. Because the thing of it is if you get, how if you get drunk, it's only like anywhere between 2 and 6 hours, depending on your tolerance. Unless you're in Vegas, because you're always walking around, so it's easier to sober up. It's about 2 to 6 hours of fun, and then paying for it somewhere in the night or in the morning.
So I don't get hangovers. So
you also don't drink that much, though.
When I do drink, I can drink. Okay. My mom actually just brought it up. So my mom has smoked pot for as long as basically my entire life. Okay, she still does, okay. And she would actually be kind of embarrassed if my friends would want to come over and they would smell weed in the house because they knew I didn't smoke. And so the thing is she would be like, I just smoked or whatever it was, and I would tell my friends that were wanting to come over, I'm like, my mom's cleaning the house right now. She doesn't really want anyone over.
But now I have a question.
Yes.
So for all the times that, sorry, Mom Janine. For all the times that your mom tucked up in the house and you had to secondhand that shit, how often did you get hungry?
Okay, so to answer that, she never. Okay, so out of respect for me, she never did it in front of me.
Okay, that's
because good. I was just. It's not even that I was against it or anything like that. It's just it's not something that I did, and so she just didn't do that around with me. But my mom has gone in the backyard and smoked with my friends during some of the parties that I used to have. But
I vaguely remember this.
But again, not with me, because that wasn't what I was doing. But at the same time, my mom would be out there playing King's Cup with us during one of those parties. Or something like that. And so it was always a lot of fun. As far as food goes, my mom is an amazing cook. To this day, hands down, just awesome cook.
That wasn't the question, though. Because it's...
No, I know. Okay. And so the whole thing is I was never really hungry because I was constantly getting food shoved down my throat anyway.
Okay, that might be a fair statement, because even when you're that high that often, you can develop a tolerance for many things, similar to alcohol.
Do you remember Tiny Nick?
Yeah, kind of a redhead?
Yes.
Ended up dating... Radar?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, Mom, just no last names. But the thing that he was always super skinny, right? He just looked malnourished. Yeah. But he lived down the street from me, like maybe 6 or 7 houses. Mm-hmm. And so as soon as he came in the door, my mom was like shoving food down his throat. Like, this guy was one of the older kids even in your grade. So I think he was almost 19 when he graduated.
I don't remember what grade he was in. I think he was in mine.
He was in your grade. He was a year older than I was. And he started late, which means that he was older than pretty much all of the kids there. And so, but he was what, maybe 5'1", like 80 pounds?
Not even.
Yes, Alex, Lego Nick. Everyone knows him as something different.
Yeah. I always felt bad, specifically to him. Like most other, we have this so there's two Bryces in our little borderline clique, and one of them is the Bryce that used to live here. The other
idiot?
one is, yeah, love him to death, but he's an idiot. The other one is a very short individual, and we call him Bryce.5 as opposed to Bryce 1.0.
Okay, so speaking of, yes, see, my mom knows who we're talking about. He looked 12. The dude was like 22 and he looked 12.
Like that, I don't feel bad about. But when it came to Nick, for whatever reason, I always felt bad about. Like I always checked my jokes at the door anytime it came to a height joke, unless it was so over the top that even he would laugh.
I never worried about it. I was super good friends with him for a long time.
That's different because you were super good friends with him. I wasn't.
Yeah. And so, awesome dude. Like, in all honesty, I absolutely love Nick. His entire family was nothing but good to me. I remember the blisters I had on my fingers from playing Marvel vs. Capcom over at his place on the original PlayStation. Just horrible D-pads before the analog sticks. Like, you just destroyed them. But going back to what we were talking about originally with the whole schools and everything, so Santa Sue is a performing arts school. Okay, a lot of their stuff is high production value at this point, bringing in outside people, choreographers. Like, it's no longer teaching staff. They are actually employing people that are professionals in their fields.
Which again made sense because it was the performing arts school.
No. So I'm talking about now, because their theater program then, especially their musical program, was shit.
It was. They got the better gigs with the shittier.
It was okay. So whatever. It was the dance and
now,
it was the dance and the choir teachers were absolute trash for years.
Yeah.
And they finally ended up getting Bevan Abbey.
And I remember years back. So for anyone that remembers my band 747, they also remember all the little circles bands back then. One of them being, oh my God, why can't I remember? Anyway, his name was Mark, and loved and hated the guy. Passed away mid 2000s, I believe. His niece was the same age as him. Long story. Love her to death. She was a sweetheart. Anyway, it was through them that I was hanging out with like some of the performing arts kids over there, and it was shit back then. We would have conversations about this. Fast forward maybe 7 to 10 years later, they got that brand new performing arts theater. Oh my God. I have never seen the inside of it, but I imagine it's fucking state of the art for a high school.
Oh, it is. I mean, I've actually performed on it as an adult at this point, doing improv. And nice. So, and it was really funny too, because it was kind of like a in-between set things, and I was supposed to be helping out there. And they were asking me, like, do you want a microphone or something? I'm like, no, I'm good. And
like, I can project.
Yeah, don't worry about it. And so that was something that I was constantly working with the kids on, and everything else was, projection and whatever. And so they were the only ones up there that didn't need a mic. And it was funny because you could actually hear them with a curtain behind them, which absorbed a bunch of that noise, all that sound going backwards. And you were able to hear them better than half the kids that were actually performing on the stage for whatever else it was. It is a super nice theater, but honestly, the person that made everything happen was their choir director. Miss Abby over there is phenomenal. The things that she has done with that school, because actually, while we were in school, the school that had the best choir was actually Royal.
Interesting.
Royal actually had a 110 person mixed choir that they would take to competitions. Like, they would fill the risers and then also have people on the sides and 3 rows in front. And
I don't think I ever went to a performance at Royal.
It wasn't. I never went to Royal's performance. We would see them in competitions.
I think I remember going to one Royal football game, which to me it was like straight out of Varsity Blues. It was intense.
Never went to a football game. Actually, I don't think I ever went to a single sport game
Oh
at
God.
SEMI or
I
any of
went.
the high schools while I was there.
I went to one, got shit hammered, and hung out with a bunch of hood rats. That was when I was in
Hood rats or
ninth.
Hood rats or Regal rats?
Oh no, hood rats. Trust me, the real rats wouldn't have shit on some of the hood rats I hung out with. It was long before the fucking regal rats. Went to one at SEMI, and then I went to one at Royal. And when I was there very quickly, very briefly, but it if anyone's seen the movie Varsity Blues, it looked exactly like it. It was intense. So
Nope, never saw it. Never wanted to see it. It's just one of those movies that I'm just like, yay! It's a bunch of people in their like late 20s, early 30s acting like they're 14 again.
Varsity Blues is good.
Okay. I actually okay, so this is an issue that I've actually had for a long time, all right?
Skater punks.
Yeah. All right, so I kind of want your view on this and kind of chats also. When you have people that are portraying high school kids, so let's take American Pie, all right? Okay. Granted, they were seniors or whatever it is, but you are literally going to the movies to watch people portray high school kids having sex. You are going in to watch high school kids have sex.
Okay.
I like when I was young and in high school and stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, boobs! And now I'm like, these... I don't know how I should feel about this anymore. You know, it's kind of like there's this whole huge gray area right now in hentai, actually, where they will draw children having sex, but they're not real. But they'll use computer generation and stuff like that, and...
Correct.
I mean, this is all kind of fucking weird.
So, a buddy of Joe's and mine.
I love how you put it on Joe first, but all right.
Well, he met Joe first, and I met him through Joe. So, yeah, it's, that's kind of how it is. But anyway, a buddy of ours, up until the last maybe couple of years, was in, I think he still is to some extent, but for a large portion of life, he was in entertainment.
Wait, entertainment as in theater or entertainment as in
Hollywood?
Okay, like actual entertainment, not Chatsworth Entertainment, right?
Not Chatsworth Entertainment. No.
Okay.
No, this guy knew better.
For those playing the home game,
yeah, right.
Chatsworth is like the porn capital of the world. Continue.
He's got a multi-million dollar, no, not $1 million condo in Beverly Hills. Anyway, he's gotten out of that business. He's gotten into a new segment, which is much more profitable, but much more political.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he was in entertainment for almost his entire life. And when the whole Weinstein thing went down, he was we talked to him, and he's like, before any heads rolled, before the fucking Pound Me Too movement came into play, he was the first one to say, dude, this shit's about to fucking come unhinged. But the hilarity in all of it is the hypocrisy of entertainment in Hollywood knows no bounds. And the very thing that they preach to stop is the very thing that they're guilty of portraying. So you can't sit here and tell me that it's almost like what's her name? Nicki Minaj. I do not credit her as an artist whatsoever. That's a different conversation. But if she were to call someone like, and I'm not going to defend anyone that is, but if she were to call someone specifically a pedophile, she herself is portraying the very thing that any 14 to 18-year-old is going to buy. Mm-hmm. And that kind of makes you a hypocrite. Hollywood has always been chock full of them, and that's never going to change.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things where it is literally up to the parent or the individual to identify what's appropriate for their kid to see. I had the luxury of parents growing up where I was 13 or 14. They're like, all right, we have the summa cum laude graduate in biochemistry and molecular science, and then there's him. So let's not give him rules. Let's let him fuck up. And at least then he can fuck up with our safety net.
Mm-hmm.
Then when he turns 18, everything's on him.
And look how you turned out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, A-okay. But in truth, the mistakes I made early on allowed me to, when I actually turned 18 to 21, when I went through that phase, I was watching everybody make the same mistakes I made 8 years prior, but now they have the legal liability on themselves. And, again, it's one of those things where, as far as Hollywood's concerned, it's up to you. So Hollywood's always going to be a hypocrite. That's a constant.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter who it is, what it is. You have your few and fars in between, but
like Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, like Keanu, or Tom Hanks. Even love Tom Hanks. I hate the fact that we spend so money to rescue him in every fucking film.
Yeah.
But him and Matt Damon. All right, y'all. We need to stop funding money to rescue them in every fucking film.
So before I forget about it, I do want to go back to your whole thing about parents and, they're responsible for what their kids see and whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So there was actually a video that went viral of, the hell's her name? Cardi B. Okay, you know the song WAP, right? Oh, did we lose Darren again? Might have lost him. We lost him. We'll wait till he comes back, because I really want to hear his whole take on this thing.
All right, hang on.
Well, at least you can hear me. If you can hear me, then you can figure out your other stuff. But anyway, so...
No, actually, I can't. So, when it does crash, I can't hear you. And then after 5 seconds when it restarts, then I can hear you.
Okay. So anyway, so Cardi B, there was this video that came out of her performing or twerking or whatever it is to WAP. Her daughter or some young child apparently comes out and she acts super embarrassed and shuts everything off and apparently doesn't want her kid, whatever, to see this, right?
Okay.
But yet there she is on the Grammys or whatever it is performing WAP on stage.
Okay.
And so people were calling her a hypocrite and saying, all these things about her. And she's just like, it is not my job to police your kids. That is your job. If I don't want them to see this, they're not going to see this.
I would, if that is what she said, I would 100% agree with it.
But on that same token, to be completely against something like that, knowing that today's, you don't have to click this video is 18 up to see the Grammys.
Right.
This is PG-13 at best.
Well, even there was the Super Bowl where JT ripped off fucking...
That was planned. I don't care what the fuck they say. That pasty was there.
But even still, it's the mere fact that it happened on a program that is not really... There's no preconceived notion, no matter how pre-planned it is, that this is going to be a rated R fucking program or mature audiences only or anything like that. You can't really predict it. So if Cardi B actually did say this, I would 100% agree with her to a certain extent. So on one end, the music that I write, like the song With Me Tonight, yeah, it's sexually suggestive.
Self-plug? Go for it, Darren. You got this. Shameless fucking plug.
Buy my album. Or just download it. I don't give a shit as long as you have it.
I actually totally forgot. Let me cut you off real quick. If you guys like that intro song, that was written, directed, produced, vocals.
Well, there's no vocals yet. But
well, the vocals that, if you heard any vocals, it was Darren. Bass, the guitar, the backup guitar, the fourth guitar, the 12th seat trumpet, if he ever adds it, it is all Darren. He is a one-man band, and he has put together that intro song. I will play it again at some point, because I've never had an intro song. How many of you guys out there can say you have your own intro song?
Plug it in, plug it in.
Exactly. But continue.
But anyway, I agree with Cardi B to a certain extent. So one of my songs with me tonight is sexually suggestive, and my niece and nephew heard it. Now, I don't know if they could actually discern the lyrics to it. I don't even know if they have the lyrics to it or read along with it. I don't care. At the end of the day, yes, it is up to my sister and her husband to police the shit that they want their kids listening to. I agree with that. At the same time, if Cardi B has a kid, or let me take the heat off of Cardi B for a second. If I were to have a kid, and let's say I was, a big name in the music business, and I wrote all sorts of shit about getting high, getting drunk, getting into fights, or,
So telling the story of your high school years?
His sex, drugs, and rock and roll, all right? If I were to just only talk about that, blah, 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 and then all of a sudden I have kids, would I want them listening to those albums? Maybe not up until a particular point in time or when they reach a certain age. But the thing parents need to remember at the same time is you were a kid once yourself too. I remember when I was 13 and the shit that I was getting into. And if I were to have kids, would I want them getting into that shit? No, I would always want the best for them. But at the same time, if they want to learn about mistakes, at least I could try and facilitate the most safe way possible for them to do that. Just the same as my parents did. I don't think there's a right way to approach that. And I think the margin of error is very slim. So it's not something I recommend. But it 100% does come down to the parent. How do they want to police this information that their child's receiving? How do they want to spin this or interpret this for their teenager that may be experimenting with this? You do not know 100% of the time what your kids are listening to, especially in the day and the age of the internet. We didn't have this much fucking technology when I was in high school. You were in high school.
Yes, we did. I had Napster. I had Linkin Park. I had Linkin Park.mp3.exe.
Good fucking.
That was I was always really good about it. I always looked at the file name before I downloaded it, at least after I wrecked the first computer.
Hey, what's up?
No, and now we all have viruses. Yeah, it's called Corona. No, it's there is some stuff like, okay, so let's say you have kids, right? And this is now two guys that do not have kids. I have two dogs. My dogs don't care what I say to the world. Like, my dogs are not going to cancel me.
They don't know any better.
They know that I have treats, so they love me. But if, let's take your thing of you did all of these songs about sex, drugs, rock and roll, and whatever it was, and then you had kids, would you then continue to put out that kind of music while... See, so everything changes. You've had a huge life event.
It may or may not. But I also may have already answered that question. So if I had 5 fucking albums that were all sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and then I have kids, I can still choose to write about things that interest me or, things that I experience that people can relate to, blah, blah, blah. And at the same time, let's just say I release 1 album per year. So let's say I do 5 more albums already having a kid, and now that kid is 5 years old that may or may not listen to my music. It is up to me to police that. So yeah, I could shift gears and go from the sex, drugs, and rock and roll to writing fucking Mickey Mouse Clubhouse shit. All right. I could go that direction, and that choice is solely on me. That's not something I would advise anybody else to do, because they should make their own choice for themselves. But if I were the parent, I'd probably continue writing the shit that I want to write, and then just police that for my own kids. Be like, no, I don't want you listening to this, or maybe I'll just play it for you without the fucking lyrics.
So here's another thing. So now we have all seen Nicki Minaj and Cardi B pretty much naked.
I can't stand either one of them, but yeah.
Right, fine. Okay, so to Nicki Minaj's credit, I actually liked her much better as a backup singer for like Young Money and everything else prior to her solo stuff, because she actually sounded a whole lot more like Missy Elliott back then.
Sure.
I get it. I get it. You're white. You don't understand. It's okay.
No,
leave it to.
I got my favorites, but go ahead.
But anyway, so, and this is actually kind of what I've always wondered about people that used to be in like the adult film industry, becoming parents and whatever it is. You're going to run into kids at school that are like, "Hey, I saw what your mom used to do."
Yeah. That shit's inevitable. If you're in that line of work, that shit is inevitable. And again, it's one of those things that comes down to the choice of the individual. The policing of your kids, at the same time, the information or the art that you choose to portray, that all comes down to the choice of the individual. If you choose to be in fact, I watched an interview on one porn star. I don't remember how I fucking came about it.
Don't even. It was Pornhub.
No, it was not Pornhub.
You do not buy Playboy for the articles. I don't believe it.
It was fucking YouTube. It was this porn star. I don't remember who it was. Interview, whatever. And I'm like, the fuck? So I click on it. I'm like, yeah, curiosity.
Wait, was it that Rocco thing?
No.
Okay, because I actually did watch that. That dude was abusive as shit.
Yeah, I do know about that, but I can't remember who it was. But anyway, she was talking about having, kind of living a dual life, and when it came to not only dating and relationships, but also trying to raise kids. She kind of said it right, where she's like, this is the life that I chose, and I was good at it, and I made good money doing it. And guess what? I was able to fund a life for my kids doing something I enjoyed doing. Hats off to you,
So then,
at the same time, she was very cognitive of making sure that, her kids did not, or at least the best to her ability, that her kids did not see the shit that she did. And so, again, hats off to her for doing that. In a digital age, I imagine how difficult that could be.
So there's a couple of things that I've brought up for years. Okay, there was a show that came out for a little while. I think it was like a TLC or something like that, and the whole premise of the show was I didn't know I was pregnant.
Oh.
And these women are like 500-600 pounds and end up getting pregnant. And this one woman, and she's on this show, okay? And she's explaining to everyone, that, yeah, I was feeling kind of uneasy, but I always kind of had stomach problems, and I mean, she's gigantic. I'm not trying to fat shame, but I mean, damn. You know what I mean?
There's fat shaming, and then there's just identifying the clear and present.
There's what does Gabriel Iglesias call it? But anyway, she realized that she was pregnant because she really had to poop, and then looked down and there was a baby in the toilet.
I do remember this.
So here's the thing, all right? That kid now has got to be, because this was years ago, that kid has now got to be in grade school.
Yeah.
At some point, I'm sorry, that kid's name is going to be Shithead, because there is no way that because kids are fucking brutal. All right, kids are cruel. Like, you think we're mean? No, they are absolutely fucking. And it's not even like the level of their insults. Like, you're a duty head. No, because I can hear that and I'm like, kind of laugh at it. Fine. But when you hear you're a duty head 80 times a day for like 6 years straight, that shit is fucking cruel.
Especially if the phrase duty head is new to you.
Yeah.
And you hear it multiple times a day.
But I could just imagine him being called like Shitstain or Skidmark, or like, I'm coming up with names for these kids. If they ever find this thing, you are free to use these nicknames. But
yeah,
so there's
the perpetrator.
So there's that, all right? And there's that whole thing. And that is someone that is literally profiting off of their kids later on that are going to just absolutely 100% suffer. Like, I'm guessing that the suicide rate of those types of kids is far, far above the norm or the medium because of what that is.
I would say 99. If I were to be modest, I would say 95% of all of that has to do with social media and the digital age. So, when we were in high school, information was only disseminated primarily by word of mouth. I mean, yeah, you had notes in classrooms, and then you had, I guess, for high school for us, that would be AOL Messenger.
I miss AIM.
But
oh wait, does that shit work on here? I gotta try something really quick.
But anyway, text messaging was just becoming a thing. So information did not easily spread. It still spread, and in some cases it could be like a wildfire. But one perfect example is our old friend of ours, Ashley. We'll use her last name. Me and two other friends, I know who they were now. We decided to moon a camera just for kicks. And she took the picture and I didn't even remember it. And then I think it was like maybe a month later, it was Halloween. That's what it was. And I think it was my senior year because who it is I was dating at the time, she got the information. Okay. But she was like, people are telling me that you have a really nice ass. And I'm like, how's this possible? No one's ever seen it but you. And she's like, yeah, apparently you mooned the camera. And I'm like, oh shit. But anyway, it took like a month for that information to come into fruition. Mm-hmm. And even then, not everyone really saw the picture or knew about it. So you fast forward to now, 20 some odd years later, information is literally at your fingertips, and not just in a public setting like social media, but even in a private setting like social media, where you could do like the instant messaging programs and group chats. Information is on the fly. Not even real information. False information is on the fucking fly. I could go out there on a group chat right now and tell the world how
I hear that's fake news.
Joe is regrowing his hair on his fucking shoulder in one patchy spot, and people would fucking believe it.
Why do you pick on Joe so much?
It's Joe. It's my roommate.
I get that, but I mean, it would be better if you had said, you were growing patchy hair in one spot.
Fine. Joe could send out a message saying, Darren's finally growing hair on his head, and all of a sudden people would think I look like Chris Evans. And no
one would believe him. They'd know that was fake news. Yeah, thanks, man. I got to. But okay, so
I like how the faith in the faith in Joe is like through the fucking roof, but the faith in me just plummets through the floor.
But well, it's just your inability to grow hair. But wow. It's all right. Don't worry. Wrong. But so that was one side of it, was that, okay? The other one, going back to the whole porn star thing, what do you feel about these teachers that used to be from like the age of like 18 to 22 were in the adult film industry and then did something else? So there's a teacher not too long ago that was in the adult film industry and then became a teacher at like a high school. The kids ended up finding these old videos of what she was doing, and she was then fired. Okay, like, where do you start drawing the line? I mean, that is one of the, in my eyes, that is one of the more justifiable areas of cancel culture, but it still goes into the whole cancel culture of, something you've done in your past, and all of a sudden getting repercussions for it, years later. Like, there was actually...
The one thing I'll say is get away from the phrase cancel culture, because that in on itself is that has like a bad omen to it. Here's the one question I'll ask you though. Let's say you were a principal or a dean or whatever, and you found out vicariously through a student that one of your teachers in a previous life was a fucking porn star. You fire her. What are your reasons?
Oh, the reasons were that she didn't embody the morals that the school was putting forward.
Wrong. That right there gets you into a lawsuit. Because
and it did, but the thing is that she lost all of her lawsuits.
Quite possibly, because at the same time, the judges in the court system, as well as a jury system, are subject to the same mistakes down to the employer level, and that is we're all human and we're prone to making decisions based on our own ethics. Okay. All right, the court system is not innocent in that. They are the most innocent to that, but they're not 100% innocent, because again, we're all fucking human. All right, so this is right up my alley in my degree. So if I am a dean or a principal and I employ someone on the premise that, let's say this person was fully qualified.
Okay.
All right. Had an amazing track record, whatever. 5 years later, some kid digs up on Pornhub her fucking alias. Oh, this is so-and-so. And now it spreads like wildfire on the campus.
Okay.
The reason I would fire her, probably wouldn't even really give a reason. And if she asked for one, I would say, we need to cut down on the budget.
You have to, because of teachers' unions.
Not necessarily. Only if they're actually part of tenure. Do you actually have to disclose the reason? And
in the state of California, since, they are all about the employee.
Nope. California is a right to hire state, whereas a state like Ohio is a right to work. So in California, I can hire or fire for any fucking reason I want. I just cannot do either for the wrong reasons. And at the end of the day, I don't have to state a fucking reason. But if I do state one, it cannot be for the wrong reason. It can be for anything else, but it cannot be for the wrong one. So if I were to fire a teacher or let her go or whatever, at the end of the day, I'm kind of doing him or her of service by actually terminating her, because then they can claim unemployment, blah, blah, blah. They can get those benefits. But one of the big reasons why large corporations, no different than any other public school, yes, you could, Dark Tempest, you could say it's a stigma of the adult industry. I will come back to that. But at the end of the day, it is 100% about perception. Whether you, as the school, do not want to create the perception that you hire porn stars,
okay,
or if you, as the parent, don't want your kid going to a school that hires porn stars, is also a perception. And sad to say, we live in a world where that perception becomes reality. There's no want or desire to have any association with that because of the stigma that comes with the porn industry. And all of a sudden, girls may be one thing, they may react differently, but with boys, it's a fucking constant. They're going to go unhinged on the fact that Mrs. So-and-so was a fucking porn actress, blah, blah, blah. There have been some porn actresses that have tried to break away from the porn industry. One of them, can't remember her name for the life of her, but she had an addiction to sex, which is why she was in the porn industry. What's his name from Loveline? Dr. Drew?
Yeah.
He actually was the one to give her the remedy. He was the one helping her through that. But then the other actress who has no problem in the porn industry, Sasha Grey, her breakout was in Entourage. She's not the first porn actress to break out and away from the adult film industry. Tracy Lords is probably the biggest name to come to mind on that. But Sasha Grey really brought it to a new level. And as good as she did in Entourage, the problems remain the same. It's the stigma of the porn industry that nobody wants any association with.
Mm-hmm.
And you're never going to get away with that. For that reason, once you're associated with the porn industry, you're pretty much done.
So I actually did find another article, and it was that a teacher was fired because students found her OnlyFans. that did not show any nudity.
Okay, so that can be a court case where I'm guessing it was a female.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a court case she could win. So OnlyFans, you would have to look at the mission and vision statement of OnlyFans and their the intention behind the organization. So Twitch is a platform, right, where people can stream.
Wait, hold on. So you would be able to fire somebody for stuff that they've done previously without any issues, but something that they are currently doing, you'd have issues firing them for.
No. If so I think I might have misheard you. So if a teacher in a previous life was a porn actress, yes, I can get rid of her. I can find a way to do it. And she'd probably lose a lawsuit if she tried to sue. All right.
Okay, now this new one is a current teacher and a current OnlyFans.
Don't even entertain the OnlyFans thing because that's its own issue. But let's just call it a current porn star that got hired as a teacher. All of a sudden, I found out she was a fucking current porn star. She made a film 1 week ago. All right. Yes. On the same token, I can absolutely fire her. I'd find a way to do it. I'd work with the legal team to do it. And even if she sued, there's a pretty good chance that she would lose a lawsuit. One of the big things too about the court system is when you get hired, there is the intention that everything you are conveying to the hiring prospect is truthful, correct?
Yes.
All right. Then how come this person didn't disclose their alias?
As far as...
Doesn't matter. I've asked the question. Now everybody's thinking it.
No. I mean, okay, but the thing is an alias as far as what? So if I go into a job interview, I should disclose that I am Dr. Zeus?
No. So if you are going to be in something that may be questionable, all right? So streaming may come up as a question down the road if you try to get hired by someone. I don't know. But as of right now, that's not the concern. Specifically speaking to porn and its stigma, if someone in the porn industry that's currently in the porn industry trying to get hired by someone, that's going to be in a very public setting, i.e. being a teacher, yes, on one end it'd be a danger to disclose that, but at the same time, it's just as risky not disclosing it because now if I fire you and you try to sue for wrongful termination and it goes to court, all a prosecutor has to ask is how come you didn't disclose the fact that you worked under this alias currently in this industry, potentially providing entertainment that anywhere between 14 and 18-year-old kids could easily download.
Okay, and the whole thing is that I understand losing a court case on.
But the premise is just the question: how come you didn't disclose your alias? And right there, it doesn't matter what your answer is. You lose the jury in your first fucking 5 minutes. So that right there loses the game. Now, if you are under your own name, then it's just a background check, and in which you would probably lose the hiring outright. So again, porn is one of those things where the stigma of it will never change. In a way, if there was an actress or an actor that is in the porn industry that had the merits of being a good actor, by all means, but it's not like it's like Creation said, it's not like you watch porn for the fucking acting.
I don't know. I really like seeing how many different ways they can deliver a pizza.
Yeah.
Okay, so kind of a funny thing, but speaking of just like doing research type things in ways that it wasn't supposed to be done, not actually porn at all, other than cock meat sandwiches, which if you get the reference, you know the movie I'm about to bring up. So I was military police for years, right? And the deployment that we were going on, oops, why do I keep doing that? Give me a sec.
No worries.
Every time I minimize the other Discord window, it just freezes. But anyway, so we were supposed to actually get deployed to Guantanamo Bay, to Gitmo. All right. And so we decided to sit down and do some research on Gitmo because none of us had been there, and watch Harold and Kumar escape Guantanamo Bay.
Nice.
And
do you drink mojitos just to get used to the flavor?
we were all looking forward to meeting George W. Bush, and for some reason that never happened.
Jesus.
But that wasn't Guantanamo. That was I believe Bagram. No, not Bagram. I forget that. But no, so a funny thing that Dark just brought up was the pyramids. Do you remember that whole thing where the military? It was Abu Ghraib. That's what it was. Abu Ghraib, the prison or the detention center out in Iraq, where they were having them do human pyramids and mistreating the detainees and everything.
I do remember that hitting the news.
Okay, so the command that was in charge of that whole thing was the 200th MP command. All right, if you want, I can go through like a little box up here and actually show you what their patch was, because when the unit went down to Gitmo, that's the patch that they were wearing as far as the unit that they're deploying with. So everyone was afraid of the maple leaf with the sword in it because they were Abu Ghraib. They were the Bagram was the, I believe, the city that it was. I believe that was the city it was in, but it was Abu Ghraib, I believe, was the prison, was the detention center. And so anyway, so everyone knows that Maple Leaf and the Sword as being the unit that was there that was abusing, disrespecting, whatever, the people that were there. And so the amount of shit that the unit got for wearing that patch that was down there, it was insane. The stories ended up coming back because they're just like, all these dudes thought that we were the ones that were over there, that we were still in, that we were there to like get retribution or something like that for ruining some parts of our career or whatever it was, purely because they were wearing the same patch. So
again, it comes down to perception. So I can bring up worse situations than, you know, a porn actress trying to be a teacher.
A Marine kicking around a beheaded combatant, the head of a beheaded combatant.
In a general sense, that's probably worse, but to our mind, that's probably just funny.
No, there was actually a lot of things that some of those pictures from old like SF and recon dudes came out where they're losing civilian jobs now because choppy video from fucking 2005 came out that they're kicking around this decapitated head.
And I heard about this years ago, and the way I responded to it, it was kind of fucked up. I was like, "That's the way my exact words were. That's so fucked up."
Yeah,
but it was insane. It just like that.
Because
like it's kind of a chuckle,
but honestly, at that point, it's almost that nervous chuckle of I've never been put in this situation before.
Like I don't know how to respond to this.
Yeah, right. And so there are those types of situations, and in all honesty, like, we've all had those teachers or those people in our lives that used to be, you know, in the military, and we don't know what they did because, fuck, they're not going to talk about it, unless they're one of those batshit crazy people that are like, yeah, back in Nam, I still have the ears strung out across my wall. And it's like,
yeah,
okay, mister, but like...
doing it one worse is...
Why you always gotta one-up me, or in this case, one down me?
Now, well, it's business. I mean, it's one of my fortes. You're technically asking business questions. It's more along the lines of business ethics, but it's business. So something worse than a porn actress trying to become a teacher. I would, because that's an easy court win. Sorry to say, but it is. What's a harder court play is, let's say I'm a big time corporation, blah blah blah, and I have two applicants. One of them has 15 to 20 years experience, no degree. Let's just say they're military.
Okay.
And then another one has less than 5 years, but a master's degree. All right. The master's degree is a female. Let's say they're both female. Actually, let's keep it even. They're both female.
So automatically they're getting hired at 75% wages. Continue.
Nope. It's the same wage, doesn't matter who it is.
No. It's you brought up females.
I know, it's a joke. I know. There's a reason why I'm bringing it up as a female. All right. So both of them are female. one 15 years experience, no degree, military background. The other one, less than 5 years experience, but with an MBA. All right.
Oh, hold on. Before you keep going, Alex, I don't have alerts set up on this thing. So if that is going to come up, I appreciate it and thank you, but you are not going to get kazoos or anything like that, because it is conversation and it's not really that kind of a thing. Basically, what I'm doing right now is what I don't want to happen. I didn't want it to interrupt someone. So just throwing that out there for everyone that's in here. I do not have any of my alerts set up for when I am doing the podcast.
But I have mine set up, kind of. Just they're basic bitch shit.
The whole thing is that I didn't want it to interrupt something if we were in like deep conversation or
think of it like radio, dude. They have that shit happening all the time and it's always fast paced. So absolutely set up your alerts for it. It keeps things entertaining. Anyway.
All right, I will do that after this, but just know for right now, Alex, if you want the kazoo to go off, save it for Monday when I will be on again at probably about 5 Pacific. Plug. Continue.
So you have your final two contenders for the job. One, 15 years experience. One, less than 5 years. The 15 years is military background. The less than 5 years has an MBA.
I think we lost him again. We did.
All right.
No, I think his sub is about to run out and he wanted to redo his sub. But like I said, the alerts aren't on right now.
All right. You have two contenders. Both female.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a commercial break.
All right. So you have two contenders. Both of them are female, but one's got 15 years experience with military background. The other one's got less than 5 with an MBA. Who do you hire?
Well, what's the job for?
That doesn't matter.
Oh, see, to me, it would matter because
I know it would matter in a lot of aspects. All right, this is just a general question. All right, which of the two do you hire?
Well, me personally, I can't even. I can't even say what it is because if it is a much more of a leadership position, like if I'm bringing them on to manage a large number of people, that 15 years experience, even if that person was only an E4 or an E5, after 15 years, you've led troops, you've done stuff. 5 years? I'm sorry, you can still be a fucking, just a PFC that's been busted rank once, that's a fucking reject.
All right.
I don't care if you have a master's, that's a piece of paper that you showed up on time most of the time and wrote one report.
All right.
So
now I'm gonna up the ante. I'm still not specifying the job because that doesn't really fucking matter.
Okay.
Let's say so we can easily presume that the one that's 15 years experience, she's probably already married, have kids, right?
No.
Well, let's say she is.
Okay.
And let's say the other one's polar opposite. Not even married.
I've actually normally the unmarried because it's less of an issue. Like there are less reasons out there for calling out sick. Like if she's married with 2 kids, you now have extra. I'm gonna sound like a dick, but now you have these other things that are there that are reasons.
Worse than you.
Okay, but again, what I'm gonna go back to is that, especially females in the military.
Okay.
It sounds bad, but you don't make it 15 years with kids in the military most of the time. You have not done 15 years unless you have kids at the very end of that 15 years. Most, and I'm going to say most, not all, but most females, once they have kids, take that as their way out so that they don't have to be separated from their kids or anything like that. I'm not trying to be a dick on that. That's just stats.
100%. That's an option.
The other side of it, when you're getting your master's and everything else, the fact that you've had the close contact with people that are actually near you, near where you grew up and everything else, because of that, with only 5 years experience, normally they're going to have kids because they've only served a short period of time, which means they've done some things, they've done some other things, they have a much larger pool of people that they could have actually been dating. It makes more sense that the person with 5 years and a bachelor's, which again, you're only putting them at a master's, right? 5 years and a master's, you said?
Sure.
So you're putting them...
23.
Say again?
They're about 23. And then plus...
No, that's not possible.
No, it's 100% possible. You could absolutely throw on 5. So if you have someone that has a business administration degree or a master's in business administration that's been in retail for the last 5 years, that would start their employment at 17.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you meant 5 years military experience.
No,
and 5 years as a master's.
That's why I reiterated that. So the one with 15 years has a military experience. The MBA does not.
Oh, I'm jaded.
You are jaded. So again, 15 years experience, military background, no degree. Less than 5 years, MBA, no military. The 15-year has kids, is married. The MBA is not. Has neither.
Again, it's going to boil down to what the job position is.
All right. So the reason why I asked this question, because this is how fucked up the business world is. It is a legal loophole. All right. Dark Tempest was kind of on the right path, but the common answer, there is no right answer.
Yeah, of course.
One, right? It's a philosophical question. But what tends to happen in the business world, and this is very unfair to females, but sorry, it does happen. The female that already has kids with the 15 years experience is likelier to get hired for the same pay that the MBA would have gotten. But the biggest reason is if they were to hire the MBA, never having been married, never having kids, all of a sudden, let's just not even entertain marriage. She has a one-night stand that she shouldn't have had. All of a sudden, now she's pregnant. Cool. Now I got to pay anywhere between 6 weeks and 6 months of maternity leave.
Yeah, no, you're like I said. For me, it boils down to what they are doing, because
there's only so many questions you can ask in the hiring process, so you can't really foresee what anybody's going to do. You just have to do with the best of the information that you have at the time.
Absolutely. And so if I am looking for, let's say their master's is in phlebotomy, and that's what I need it for, I'm going to hire them over someone that's got 15 years as a fucking diesel mechanic.
Okay. Now, 6 months down the road after getting the job, and let's say this is a fantastic worker. Now, all of a sudden, she's pregnant. The company policy is 6 months maternity leave. You now just hired a position and lost it 6 months later for an entire year.
Well, first off, if she's giving birth within 6 months and she didn't disclose it at the very beginning of things,
that's not up to you. You can't use that against her.
Well, there are things, and the thing is you can retain a position, or you can say that this position is not for blah 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 blah, that, and you can have another position where it's a lateral transfer. If you don't want that position, I'm sorry about your luck, and that is a way around it.
But you have to know about that before the fact that she goes on maternity leave, because once she is on maternity leave, you cannot change her position. Maternity leave has the same entitlement as military.
You can absolutely change the position if it's no longer available when she comes back, and you offer her a position. If you offer her a position that is comparable to it, and it's like, look, your position's been dissolved. I'm sorry, we no longer have that position here. You can't come back to a job that doesn't exist. There's a bunch of guys in the military that happened to.
The only way that would happen without any kind of consequence or ramification is if the company filed a complete Chapter 11. That is the only way that individual that went on maternity leave would not be able to sue or not win.
Like myself, after I got hurt, right? I actually was physically unable to do the job that I was doing before. I could not climb telephone poles anymore. I could not do a lot of the stuff that I did before with a lower body injury. Okay, like I shattered my foot. I can't climb telephone poles. I can't stand on a ladder for 8 hours anymore. Like, it's physically impossible. And the Army, which should have been, hey, we're gonna, compensate, help out, whatever it is, said, get fucked. The company that I worked for said, sorry, get fucked. And so I sat there on unemployment and whatever it was for, well, at that time it was like 18 months.
So let me ask you this. When you got hurt, under whose authority did you get hurt? Was it under the military's, or was it under the company you were working for?
No, it was under the military. It was all on active duty orders for deployment.
Okay. So in that circumstance, if it's kind of like, so let's say military didn't exist. You had this job, and on off-duty hours, you went and fucking skateboarded or did fucking whatever, and you had the exact same injury. In a way, a company can find a reason to get rid of you. What they don't have to do is give you the what's it called, disability, because it didn't happen on their watch.
Absolutely.
All right. So there's a loophole that the company you worked for at that time had every right to say, sorry, you're fucked. All right. Why? Because it didn't happen on their hour. It didn't happen on their watch. It happened on the military's watch, and therefore you're already entitled to the medical benefit behind it.
Except that they weren't doing that because they were just being. There was a whole long process with that.
I would have gone straight to the JAG.
I had 2 JAG cases opened against, and actually a formal complaint. I was actually on route to file a congressional hearing because it wasn't getting done. But
that's absolutely what I would have done.
I want to take a quick break because I really got to pee.
Anyway, the reason why I need a break too. I need to see what's going on out there.
I heard a baby, so I can't imagine too much of a crazy party is going on.
No, it's not. Most people don't show up until like 6 or 7, so we should be good. But just in case, and I need a break too anyway. But the reason why I was bringing that up is it's a very fucked up loophole, but it is 100% true, and based on the laws of the United States, it is actually permissible. So again, I can hire, and depending on the state that I'm in, I can hire and fire for whatever reason I want. I just cannot do either for the wrong reasons. So if these are my 2 choices as an employer, I'm going to lean towards, and this is not how I personally would choose things, but this is how things do exist.
Mm-hmm.
And the person with the 15 years experience, I'm going to choose simply because of the fact that this person has already got an established life. They already have kids. I don't have to pay for maternity leave X amount of times. I do not have to pay for a honeymoon X amount of times, given someone's fucking circumstance. And the worst I would have to deal with is a part-time basis. So that way, or, the person can leave work early so that she can go pick up the kids or whatever, or he, depending on the circumstance, or allow a telework option.
See, like I said, my whole thing for that whole.
At least the productivity would be there, as opposed to hiring someone straight out of fucking college that might come with fresh information straight out of school, which makes perfect sense to hire because the information is brand new. The technology that they're experienced in using through education is brand fucking new. But I now may have to potentially pay for maternity leave. I may have to potentially pay for a honeymoon, not including vacation time that they're going to accrue. These are things that employers think about going into it, and it absolutely sucks. But there's no right way to do it. There's just a whole bunch of wrong ways of doing it, and it comes down to the employee interview.
So I do want to bring up that 6-month maternity leave, if that's a company policy, then that is a company policy. That is not a state policy. And Absolutely. You are screwing yourself if that is your company policy, not wanting to do it. That's cool.
Yeah. But even then, let's say it's only 4 weeks. Now it's still a month I'm going to lose.
That's fine. And I would, like I keep saying, it really depends on what the position is. Because if the position is, I'm sorry, let's say that I am hiring for Snapchat, or I'm hiring for Facebook or Twitch or something like that. I am going to take a 23, 24-year-old with a bunch of tech experience with a master's in this field over someone that was in the military for 15 years, because you're looking at someone that's in their like mid-30s now. We did not grow up with this technology, because that is us. I was in for 11 years. You were in for 38 minutes.
First off, fuck off. It was 6 years, actually. Thank you. And it was 6. The other thing, too, it was just about 6 full-time years. So it wasn't 6 years, 1 week and a month.
Yeah.
So it was all, I basically should say it was like 6 years active duty, because it pretty much was.
But I'm going to take a break and pee, because I have to pee. Right. I'm going to play the song for everybody to hear, because or Darren, do you want to play the song real quick for me, or do I need to pull it up?
Probably be easier if you pulled it up.
All right, I'm going to go back to the starting soon and just start this thing. So yeah, we'll be back in like 5 minutes.
Okay.
Back in 5 minutes, guys. All right, guys, I'm back. I know Darren's not yet. Um, but yeah, that song was written, directed, recorded, played by, starred in, produced, co-starred, everything, Mr. Darren Lee Horn. And if you guys have not, that's my food, by the way. I know it wasn't 5 minutes. I've always been quick. Yeah. But anyway, but seriously, guys, make sure that if you haven't already, go check out Mr. Darren Lee Horn. But seriously, go check out his Twitch platforms and everything else, because the dude's just an awesome guy all around. And yeah. But with that being said, time for some fried chicken and a biscuit with some honey. I forgot the honey. So the vibe he was actually going for that whole thing was Boys of Summer, the Atari's version. So, I mean, I can play that song for you guys also. It'll probably get, edited out when this thing goes live on, like, if this thing goes for, like, a VOD or something like that. But honestly, it's, like, one of my favorite songs. I don't know why I love that song so much. But... yes, sit in all of the ads, guys. Get me that ad revenue. It is a really, really good song. Oh, it was just that that song, he didn't miss a whole lot. Basically, just that the song was supposed to be more reminiscent of the Atari's version of Boys of Summer.
Double talk. So yeah, to clarify before we took a break, is that how I think? No. Is that how every corporation thinks? No. But it is something they think about. So
no.
That's just how it works. And the same applies to men too. So single guys that have never been married or any kind of paternity leave, that too becomes a factor.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like, I actually just had a couple of friends that did have kids. Johnny is one of them. One of the guys that, comes in, plays Overwatch with me. Or 3PO, whatever. Another one is Scott, two of my army buddies. Adorable, adorable kids. I actually went to the Boysenberry Festival with them last weekend. But yeah, it's rough. But like I said, for me, it's not necessarily just a black and white type thing, because
right.
I'm going to get so much more out of 15 years military experience in a job that,
There you are being jaded again. I never said 15 years military experience. I just said military experience.
Oh, the whole thing is you said 15 years experience and was in the military, which is, to me, they were in the military for 15. I even brought that up at the very beginning. Right. If someone had served for 15 years, I would much rather have them, in a leadership position. Whether or not even if they had 2 years experience in field, but 15 years in experience, they're going to be in my eyes at least, they are going to be a much bigger asset in a leadership position at that point.
And again, it all comes down to perception. It comes down to the individual hiring. It comes down to the decision-making process of that organization, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's going to be different. In most circumstances, they lean towards the person that's already established. And it's a sad notion, but that's just how it is.
Dark Tempest. Okay, that's what he said. He said that you said 15 years experience with military background.
Right.
The whole thing is that so depending on what their military service was, I mean, fuck, if they were a washout, no, I'm never going to hire them. I don't care if they have 15 years experience. If they had a failure to adapt in their first 6 months, fuck it. That means you can't actually commit to anything.
But so let's say they were a washout, but the 15 years experience was with one organization.
Then the whole thing is, I'd be asking, why are you putting down your military experience at all? That should be something that should be completely omitted then.
Right. And so that, I would say that's probably a dangerous question to say in the interview, because it sets up a trap. And in that circumstance, if I were to ask someone, hey, you were only in the military 6 months, what happened? The way the two questions are phrased are completely different, because now I'm opening the conversation up to where I'm setting up the prospect for a trap. Be like, you're going to reveal to me why it is you got discharged, which you could run into a HIPAA violation.
Nope, you can't, because it is, if you want to put military down on there, you have to supply a DD Form 214, which means that the discharge reason is going to be on there along with everything else. Right. If you're not going to...
That's different. That's different.
Well, it basically goes down to, are you going to disclose this to me, or am I going to have to look up 214 code and be like, oh, so you were a Chapter 11. No.
Okay. So the way you phrase the question, how come you washed out in 6 months? Why is this even on your fucking resume? Is completely different than saying, I saw you were in the military for 6 months. What happened?
Okay, so depending on the job, I'm not going to say, oh, so you're a washout. The whole thing is that
it does depend on the job. I'm not disagreeing with that. It's just that's why I'm trying to keep it as a general census, so you don't go down to the specifics of the job. Just go on to the merit of these two candidates and why it is someone would hire the young MBA as opposed to the older established 15 years experience. There's different interpretations to both. But what a common thing that does happen is you go with the established person because now the company has less money going down the drain for leave that they didn't really plan on spending on that employee.
With all of that information, with it being 15 years in 15 years experience in like that job profession, not 15 years military experience, yes, I would take them. Because I thought you were literally going off of 15 years experience or MBA with experience in field. Like that.
All I was trying to establish is the difference in the two people. One is 15 years older than an MBA graduate. And then you start drilling down, okay, this person's established with a family, this person is not. And all of a sudden, since those questions never came up in the interview, but now that we know this information, now I can say I'd rather hire the 15 years experienced person because now I don't have to pay for maternity leave. And because otherwise, any other question that you ask starts drilling down. And yes, you're going to get into specifics. Yes, you are going to probably decide one way or the other based on the job position. But in a general consensus, that typically happens in business. So does it always happen? No. And some companies are a little bit more cognitive, especially in the tech industry. You are going to want someone that's fresh out of Google U or fresh out of MIT or something because the information is still relative to them and it's new. You're absolutely going to want that.
Missa wants to say so much, but she's driving.
Oh, I'm sure. Quite honestly, as a chick, this should infuriate them, but it does. It does happen. And as a matter of fact, someone that I do know, they were trying to remove her while she was on maternity leave, and that turned into an ugly lawsuit. And he turned around and settled because he knew it was going to be a losing fight.
But anyway, all of that being said,
using Texas speech.
Again, all of that stuff being said and everything else, you are absolutely right on that one thing. But again, if it is company policy that's going to give them 6 months, then the company knows what they're signing up for to do something like that. Otherwise, 4 weeks, I'm sorry, I have no problem then hiring the younger, new ideas with 4 weeks. And if you don't want to come back to work after 4 weeks, that's fine. I will find somebody else. You find someone else. We're good. And what did I actually lose? I lost 4 weeks, but I also have already brought someone in that could be a replacement or could be another area.
You gained the person for 4 weeks, but you lost time before and after.
What do you mean?
So you're saying you only had the person for 4 weeks and then now you lose them?
No, I'm saying that you will only lose them for 4 weeks because of the maternity leave.
Oh, because your paternity leave policy. Got it.
Yes.
I think with the Air National Guard, I think it's like 4 to 6 months maternity, something like that.
That's fine, but that's the fucking Guard, and you're not really losing money because.
No, if it's a full timer, they are. So Air National Active Guard Reserve, yeah, they're losing money.
Lawsuit. You fired her because she got pregnant and no longer attractive to you.
Those are two different lawsuits.
All right, so my dad actually, when he was looking for an office assistant when we lived up in the desert, the big thing that he did not want a female office assistant, even though it would be easier on the eyes and everything else. His big deciding factor to only picking up a male, and yeah, sex is fine, whatever, but he just didn't look at the female candidates, was that he did not want to have to get a second porta potty up there to service the female that was there.
Okay.
And so that was literally his reasoning behind it was that in order to have a female up there, you have to have a female only, you know, to accommodate for the female. And he's just like, dude, I've got like 15 construction workers, a warehouse guy, and myself. No.
Okay. And that kind of supports the overall theory that I presented to you. Is that was a completely it's a fucked up decision, or it's fucked up reasonings as to coming to that decision, but it's different than the decision that you're going to tell them. 100%.
Well, here's the funny thing. A lot of times, you just don't return the phone call, and there is no reason given. I don't have to tell you why I didn't hire you.
Correct. You do not have to get, and that's what I'm talking about with California. It's all right to hire a state. You can hire and fire for whatever reason you want. You do not have to disclose a reason. You just cannot disclose the wrong reason. And if your dad were to say, well, I didn't hire you because then I would have to fucking buy porta potties and shit to accommodate females, boom, now it's a lawsuit. And what's worse is you'd probably get EO involved because of the lack of diversity in the workplace. That actually happened to our base when I think it was the first year I got there.
Okay, maybe that's a problem for you, but in the construction industry, a lack of diversity, I was the lack of diversity, okay? I was the only white dude there.
So, old friend of mine, I don't think you'd remember him, but there were mutual friends. Alex would remember him. He drove...
First name?
Chris.
Yeah, that really doesn't help.
Exactly. But Alex would remember him. So this guy drove tow trucks for a while. And the tow truck industry is very overlooked by the labor board. Here's how fucked up it is. Any AAA call that company specifically received, I don't know if they still do the same process now, but any AAA call that they specifically received, the driver would receive like $5.80 per call. It did not matter what it was or where it was going or how long it took. All right. Any other call, it was, especially when it came to an impound, he would receive a percentage of the take if someone bought it at auction.
Okay.
Right. Not exactly a livable wage.
No.
Not by any means. Not he doesn't receive an hourly, anything like that. You would think that is something that would be fought for in a labor board situation. But how many of those drivers were, that's its own question. How many of those drivers did they have were female? And the answer is none, but that doesn't mean a female couldn't do the task. And that's where EO would get involved. In a state like California, fuck, that'd be an easy win for EO. Mm-hmm. You dirty dumb. But the point being is, in the situation like your dad, if he disclosed the wrong reason, if he disclosed a reason at all,
this is all hearsay, by the way.
Yeah, I know, that's fine. I don't give a shit. But let's say the prospect called that company and asked, I would like to know why it is I didn't get the job, or I want to know the status of it. They do not have to give a reason at all. And if they do give a reason, then it better be something legitimate, like we just chose someone that had the qualifications that fit better with the position we were trying to hire for, which is a very plain Jane cookie cutter fucking way of responding, but it's a safe response. And then it's no hard feelings. And then then there's the aspect of, if I'm applying for a company and I didn't get hired, I can always ask the question, okay, is there anything in that interview that I could have done better with, or the information could have done better with, blah, blah, blah. Once that person's asked that question, almost all bets are off. Now you're asking for an opinion that person is freely able to disseminate to you and say, all right, this is what I liked about you. This is the things that I thought were great that you brought to the table. These are the things that I thought you were lacking, or this is how the information came off to me, which is no longer a suable situation. You're asking for an opinion.
I don't know. It's California. They sue for everything.
Oh,
a dude won a lawsuit because he broke into a house and hurt himself on the kitchen that was under construction.
That's not employment, though.
There's another guy that was breaking into a building, and the building used the wrong size air conditioning ducts, and the man was stuck for several days and was able to file a lawsuit because the ducts were not up to code as far as the sizing.
Okay. All right. I'll just throw a wild card in there. So guy gets trapped in a fucking HVAC for not having the right ducts. All right. Was this guy properly trained?
No. He was breaking into the place.
Oh, he was breaking into the place.
Yes, and won a lawsuit because the ducts were the wrong size. They should have been larger, in which case he wouldn't have gotten stuck.
Yes, 100% agree with the fact that that's a frivolous lawsuit.
There's a bunch of them, though.
I know. It's California. But the things that I brought up, they're not I don't know. I can't remember if they're federal torts or anything like that. But, and I'm not a lawyer. That'd actually be a Skippy question.
Dude, we need to get... Skippy, where are you? Why are you not here?
But it's more general state by state. Now, when it comes to the hiring and firing of people, then you drill it down by state and what their legal practices are.
Oh, by the way, Skippy actually lives in North Carolina now. He passed the North Carolina bar. He's out there with his, beautiful wife, little puppy, 2 kids. I think they have another one on the way now.
I have a fun story about that. So, well, actually, I don't know if I could tell that story on stream, given her position. So, I'll save that for another day.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about it off stream and see if that's a story that you can bring up. But
it's not a bad story by any means. It's one of those things where it's like, all right, I know who she works for. I don't know if I want to disclose that.
No, it doesn't actually work that way because a lot of the people in here are people know who people are. It can actually be linked pretty quick. So no, there's a couple of things that we cannot do, like even the stories themselves, come on, Dark, there's shit that you've done that we could not bring up on here because they would probably track you down.
Yep.
So there's a lot of things that we just can't say, won't say, whatever.
That's why when it came to me getting back into music or doing the fucking stream thing, it's like, why am I going to come up with a fucking alias? If I'm going to it's like I'm applying for a job. If I'm going to give someone a reason to dig, then I'm creating the problem. So that's why I just put my real fucking name out there.
That's a lie.
What?
It's not you, Dark. But
I was a good kid.
No, you weren't. You were an absolute fucking shitbag.
No, you weren't.
But the thing for me is that long before I was streaming or doing any of this kind of stuff, this was my tag. This was my gamer tag. I've had this thing since, I don't know, I want to say my sophomore year of high school. I've been using the same alias. Arguably, there are more people that know me as Dr. Zeus in the world than there are people that actually know me as Richard Gabriel.
What's funny is I just used my initials when I was getting into gaming. God, Black Hawk Down back in the mid-2000s, I was DLH. And then when I got on Call of Duty, I was DLH.
You're just unimaginative, is all that is.
Well, no, again, it's if I'm going to be out here, a game is one thing, but I guess streaming is a different beast. But just because I got expelled out of every school with Santa Sue.
It's all right. You didn't end up at Apollo, so it's fine. But yeah, the whole thing about the hiring of females and all of that stuff.
Even males, they run into the same thing.
Yeah.
Not as often, but they do.
I don't know. Me personally, I don't think I've never had a problem getting hired. I don't know if you want to call it white privilege.
Oh God, don't start that fucking shit.
But what was it?
I will bury that shit so fast.
Story about cancel culture.
Okay.
All right. So apparently a black woman, all right, has been canceled because of racist tweets that she had 10 years ago. All right. But the place that she got canceled in was Teen Vogue. So the staff over at Teen Vogue, all right, did not like the fact that this black woman was going to be coming in and being their editor-in-chief because of racist things that she had already disclosed to the people that were hiring her, that she said that she had like gone through, she's apologized, you know, that's not how she is anymore.
What's funny is this is probably the same organization that has diversity, inclusion, and critical race theory training.
Yes, it is. So the people that were actually spearheading this whole thing was their racial diversity. What the hell is it? It's they all have it now. Racial diversity trainer?
Diversity inclusion is what I've been seeing a lot of.
Okay, but anyway, so that was the person that was spearheading this whole thing, and so the people that this woman was going to be working over, all right, those underlings were the ones that raised a huge stink, brought it up to EO and everything, and had her canceled and the job pulled from her before she was even hired.
It's like, motherfucker.
And so I actually heard this. I was listening to Ben Shapiro. I love the tiny angry Jewish dude. Like, he is just hysterical.
I like him. He just needs to slow down.
Okay, I was actually just about to bring it up. If you listen to his podcast at 0.75 speed, it sounds like a normal person talking. All right?
There you go.
But he was bringing this whole thing up, and he's just like, guys, I am all for you guys canceling these people now. I am on... Oh, and Darren's gone. That smug little look on his face as he was getting... Streamlabs just canceled Darren.
Yeah, right. Not Streamlabs,
Discord, whatever. But it was hysterical because
Discord and I have a mutual hatred.
We're not getting into that. We did an entire fucking podcast last week about this. I'm just going to use the term, you're an old fogey. All right? And
you might not be wrong, because I still pay my bills by check. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, you might not be wrong.
My
money don't touch in that.
You know, eventually I'm going to actually have you turn your camera a little to the side so that I can crop out a little more. For some reason, when I'm on here by myself, and I'm waiting for someone to join, I am on the left side of the screen. But as soon as someone joins, they become the left side, I become the right. So more than half of the screen that I'm showing right now is just your desk.
Oh, that's probably just like the camera angle and where I'm sitting. Like if I were to lean in like
no,
this,
even still, it's still half the camera is, if you look at the stream.
Oh yeah.
Because of how I crop things, because I can only crop on the sides. So if you turned your camera angle, I would actually crop you more and put you more in the middle. So go ahead and try that for me real quick.
You can crop from the top too.
No, not with this, because I'm using the Discord thing. You can't see it, but my layout is actually here. I will bring in everything. Dude, you have so much of your camera. Like, you're in the middle of it, but you have so much of your shit out there on Discord.
Yeah.
Because you can't crop Discord.
I mean, well, all right. Because if you look at my stream, I just have that window minimized. But not minimized, but smaller.
But it's so still the entire of your thing. Like, you could crop out a bunch of your stuff.
Because I tried doing different things, and when it came, like when me and MicroPony were talking about doing the thing that we're doing now, I was testing different ways of doing it long before Discord was ever a thing for me. And one of the things that I was trying was Zoom. Bottom line, the only program that worked other than Discord was, I think, Facebook Messenger. But again, I had to treat it as an application and treat it within a window and orient it a certain way within Streamlabs. So Discord is a little easier because if I full screen it, then I can just treat it like it's its own window and then manipulate it however I want on the scene, which is what I've done with mine.
But if you look at it right now, like, you're in the middle of your camera. As you can see, I'm not. I've angled my camera to where I'm slightly off to the side. Right. Because then I bring it out. And same thing with you. I bring it out. So you're way over there. So yeah, if you angle your camera a little more towards your bed, I'll cut out more and put you even more in the screen. And we'll get you even larger. Like, we will get a big Darren. Or we'll just slightly move him off.
But then I'll be lopsided on mine.
Well, that's why you just cut out the sides.
Anyway. Yeah, don't get me started on this fucking white privilege or diversity inclusion bullshit. Don't get me on that bandwagon because I will rant for fucking hours.
Diversity and sensitivity training is another thing. Like, I'm sorry, just grow a pair.
Right. And at the end of the day, until you take away free will is given to us by deity, government, and nature. Take away any one of those and you have control. So until you get rid of free will, you're always going to have groups that, I'm sorry, are going to be racist. Why? Because you always fear what you don't know, right? Or don't understand or never met. Fuck, in my flight in basic training, there were kids that I've never fucking met a black dude. We had like 4 of them. Our master sergeant that fucking greeted us off the bus. Yeah, it was a fucking 10'5" black dude, all fucking muscle, scary as fucking shit. And that was their first time meeting a fucking black person.
Please tell me that he had a Mike Tyson voice being that big.
No.
Oh, damn, that would have been great. How you doing, guys?
No. And as a matter of fact, he did like the standard like this as we were waiting for him to, or as he was waiting for us to pull up. And just the voice of God, the wrath of the devil,
Yep.
Make your belly button pucker. And as soon as I saw him, I'm like, yes, this is the instructor that I want. This is what I'm looking forward to. The very next fucking day, for those playing the home game, I grew up with a Filipino family. All right. That's what I'm used to. All right. The very next day, we get our actual training instructor, and he's like a 5'6", Filipino guy. And I'm like, dude, this is kinship to me. This is not a threat. I want to feel threatened. And the dude tried getting in my face. He tried stressing me out, and I'm like, I can't take you literally, dude. Sorry, it's not gonna happen. But then he called me into the office, and I can't remember what the infraction was, but he's like, so what's your job? And I'm like, finance comptroller, sir. He's like, so if you got a decimal wrong, is it a oops, I'm sorry, sir? And I just shrugged it off. I'm like, no, sir. And he's like, and he said, dismissed. For whatever reason, I said, yes, sir. Don't know why I bobbed in my head. All right. To this day, don't know why. But he stops and he's like, I'm your training instructor, not your fucking sensei. Instantly, I'm like, he's like, I got you, motherfucker. I can't stress you out, but I can sure as hell make you laugh. Get on your fucking face. I loved the dude. He was so good.
Hey, Dark, where did you go to basic? Was it Benning?
And hated cursing.
Yeah, I also, Jackson. So I also had one of those big dudes. I forget his name now, but he was triple stack. So he was, nice. Former SF, Ranger, Airborne, like just the biggest motherfucker ever.
Had 3 fucking badges already.
For us, it's the sleeve. It's the okay. Right shoulder. It shows the unit and everything he went to combat with. And so on one side, it's showing SF Airborne with the sword and 3 lightning bolts. On the other side, it's showing Airborne, Ranger, Special Forces, and then this current unit. And oh my god, this dude was just fucking huge. Like, gigantic. And he was the most soft-spoken dude ever. Like, his introduction was, I'm not going to waste my voice until I understand that you guys are actually worth it. So you guys will get hand gestures and whistles, and that is it until you've earned the ability to listen to my voice.
See, that would trip the shit out of me.
And so literally, he would be there, and he'd be like,
that would trip the shit out of me, because if I'm thinking this dude who's like 10'5", fucking 500 pounds, all in muscle, fucking could just has the eyes that would consume a soul, be soft spoken to me, it would make me think, all right, if this is your fucking constant, your monotone, kind of makes me worried. if the mood rings showing fucking red that day on what the voice would be like.
So he was one of those dudes that, like, okay, so we had a really special, yeah, we were special, but no, we had this really special unit put together for us because of the 4 platoons, so of the 4 flights or whatever. So there was about 210 dudes, okay? There was only one of the 4 platoons that did not have airborne in their contract. Okay, so 3 of these platoons had airborne in their contract, which means straight out of basic training, we're going down the street and going to airborne school. All right? 2 of the platoons were 18X. 18X is Special Forces Recruit. We already had in our contract OSET, which is 1 station unit training, so basic training and infantry school grouped together. Airborne, a prep course for SFAS, and then the actual SFAS. SFAS is Special Forces Assessment and Selection. It is basically 3 weeks of absolute hell where you are, if you pass, you will then get put onto your qualification courses, your Q courses,
right,
where you'll learn you'll learn your foreign language, you'll learn your, basically it's another, like, between 6 months and 2 years of training, depending on what you're actually going to be. If you're an 18 Delta, which is a Special Forces medic, you're looking at 2 years of training. If you're an 18 Bravo, you're Special Forces rifleman, you're basically just the average SF dude that is amazing with his weapon and, can do shit on, like, 15 minutes of sleep over the course of, like, 12 days.
Doing hood rat things.
Doing hood rat things when hoods don't exist. Like, so, but every single one of our drill sergeants were either Ranger or SF, which is not something that you have in basic training. Normally you just have infantry. But for this particular thing, they brought together all of these different drill sergeants throughout Benning and brought them all in. So they were all badasses in their own rights. Like, did you have, like, random E8s walking through that just came in and started just talking to you about stories about their shit? We had with Master Sergeants, all right? Green Beret Master Sergeants coming through and being like, yeah, I've been shot 6 times and I get pissed off every time that I get hit. And I'm like, what the fuck is this?
The only time there was like 15-20 minutes of what they called airman's time, and that was usually before dinner chow.
Oh, no. These E8s were not our drill sergeants. The E8s
I know.
were just random fucking either... we're convinced that we had dudes from Delta come in just wearing their green berets or wearing their civilian clothing, whatever, just to talk to us about the shit we were getting into.
So there were 1 of 2 things. 9 times out of 10, everyone was a fucking training instructor, Smokey Bear hat. 9 times out of 10, even including classroom instruction.
Yes,
they were handled by fucking TIs.
Okay.
There was 1 or 2 instances where we would have guests come and run with us, like do PT with us or whatever. I had the esteemed luxury, since I'm not a runner. All right. I can do if I could train myself to a point where I can do a solid sprint for about a quarter of a mile. And if I'm a bodybuilder, so if I catch you, I'm gonna hurt you. But if you outrun me for about a quarter of a mile, I myself might just give up and say, no, we'll reattack.
I'm pulling out weapons at that point. I'm just taking you out.
Exactly. But anyway, I'm not a runner by any means. And I had the esteemed privilege of getting one of those guest people. I got 2 guest people. But that day was a PJ.
Ooh.
Yeah. That dude was running with us on we were running on tar on the run days, except the only time you ran on an actual track was your actual PT test. Every other time was on fucking tar. And this dude was running with us on tar wearing a backpack full of bricks.
Yep.
He was an asshole.
Yep.
He spotted me right away. And it was very early on, before I had learned, hey, the slower you are, the more attention you get. And he caught up to me and just started chewing me the fuck out.
Running backwards as fast as you're sprinting forward. Yep.
Oh my god. that dude made it a point to just drill into me. And I'm like, thank you, sir. May I have another?
Hey, Dark, have you ever seen a Warrant Officer 5?
Yeah, you guys still have warrant officers.
Yes, we do. We do have three different branches or three different ranking systems for us.
Navy still has them too, I think.
So the infantry school was cool because that was a bunch of badasses. That was pretty much the only way I can describe them, is that they were a bunch of badasses that had done shit that you read about in books, and but they were the dudes that the books were written about. You know,
Right.
like they were just badasses. In MP school, we got to meet a bunch of just awesome, just different people because we're a bunch of MPs. So with MPs comes CID, Criminal Investigation Division, or as most people would know them as NCIS type things.
Right.
And the whole thing is it's all about the boys who run the 4-inch. Yeah, I know NCIS is Navy, but the thing is people know NCIS just because of the show. They don't really know what CID is.
Army equivalent is CID.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I actually hear people coming in, so after this story, I got to take off.
All right. But the whole thing is because we were doing that, we had a bunch of different things coming through. So they would use like our training platoons to train drug sniffing dogs. So do you have any idea how many times we got the absolute fuck smoked out of us because this dog found drugs in a locker that our drill sergeants planted?
Oh, I'm sure.
So
just to prove a point.
Well, no, because it was training, and so they would find a locker that was left open, and they would throw drugs into it, or they would throw whatever. Yeah, Dark. Yeah, fuck this thing. But the thing is, we also had CID come over that were Warrant Officer 4, Warrant Officer 5. We had a bunch of dudes that just would always be there that you would never really expect to see. Like, a CID Warrant Officer 5 is an absolutely untouchable person. The officers aren't going to touch you because you're CID. Enlisted is not going to touch you because you're a fucking warrant officer. And other warrant officers aren't going to touch you because you don't fucking exist.
Yep.
Like
for Air Force, it's oh god, fuck, now I forgot the name of it. Basically, their uniforms, I forget the name of them, but it's the internal affairs of the Air Force, where basically they don't wear uniforms. They wear suits, ties, or whatever casual attire. And if they do wear a uniform, the way you know who they are is if their name tape says agent and they do not wear rank, whether they are an officer or enlisted.
So
why? Because you're not supposed to be able to identify them.
So for us, it was always, you know, we knew their rank, we knew their names and everything else because it was just, you know, that's what their job was and everything. But there's actually this whole thing that warrant officers don't exist. Like you'll see a W01 because they're fresh out and they don't know how to hide. After that, they are the true godfathers of the E4 Mafia. We have learned our ways from the warrant officers as how to get out of doing shit. Yes, you'll never find a chief warrant officer fucking anywhere. But Darren, thank you so much for coming in, hanging out, doing all of this stuff with me every week. Is this something you want to continue doing, or should I start looking for other people?
Oh no, we can keep doing it. It's
okay.
Every Friday is like hit and miss as to what's happening. So the last 2 weeks have been hit and miss, and then the one day I was cooking the steak sandwich.
By the way, I would like to point out that you showing Gordon Ramsay on this thing actually got my YouTube video flagged for not available in most countries.
Yes.
All right. So we do have to limit what we're showing because it did actually get it flagged, even though it's on YouTube and it's a fucking YouTube video on YouTube.
Oh, that's right. We played the video.
You were playing the video of the Gordon Ramsay cooking it. That actually got my video flagged.
That's funny because Jesus.
I
think that's its own topic.
It is, and we'll save it for another week. Guys, I know I promised that I would get a new emote out today, but I was unable to. Marissa and I are actually planning a trip to Ohio, so
Nice.
yeah. If you guys give me 1 second, I will talk to you guys all a little bit more. But Darren, again, it is always a pleasure, good sir. Thank you very much for coming in, hanging out,
Of course.
doing the Lord's work.
Shit.
Yeah, all that good stuff.
Ray's got me fucking saying that now.
What?
Doing hood rat things. I actually did something pretty hood rat today on Call of Duty. Someone drove a truck up in Southern Village, and I'm like, oh, this looks like fun. And I hopped in the back of the truck before he could notice me. This is like fresh in the beginning of the game too, so nobody had loadouts or anything like that. And so I just hid there in the back of the truck, and the dude jumps out of the window and hops right in the truck. Doesn't even notice I'm there until the last second, where I just started pop shotting him from the back.
Oh, we still need to test the Claymore behind the driver's seat.
Oh, we do. Yeah, we do need to test that.
Nova, you showed up in the last like 30 seconds of this thing.
If anybody wants some entertaining Call of Duty shit, check out my YouTube channel, my full name.
I've already shouted you out once. I'll shout you out again.
Oh no, I'll shout myself out. Don't worry about it. Check out my YouTube channel. Same. The name is the same. Basically, just I clip all the best angry gamers, or the funny shit that we do, or the funny shit that happens. It's 100% worth the time.
Yeah, and if you guys haven't already, do me a favor, go to the YouTube link below, click my YouTube, sub to me down there. It's the same thing as a follow on Twitch. I need the sub so I can start doing some trademark stuff and some fun things. Darren, again, it is always a fucking pleasure having you around and hanging out with you.
Yeah, you too, man.
Have a good one, man.
Take it easy.
One sec. Let's see if this works. You guys should be able to hear me now. Good thing I kind of read lips. All right, awesome. But yeah, guys, what do you think of this new, the new ending screen? Thank you. I do actually believe. I used to wear this thing when I would teach at the high school. It actually has stars on it, but I also wore it to help one of my friends paint his house. So, like, this is actually paint up here, and I've got some other random paint spots, but I have no idea which is which. So, but yeah, I used to wear it to when I used to teach the high school, and the kids would actually be like, "You're the only person that can wear that shirt and not seem like a total d-bag," because it's just a lot of fun. But yeah, guys, again, thank you so much for coming in, hanging out, joining this little weekly horse and pony show, or dog and pony show. I will be back on Monday. Next week, we are not going to be playing Diablo at all. We will probably do some They Are Billions. We will probably do some Paladins. The season actually ends on Sunday. So there's just... I don't like playing non-season. I feel like it's just kind of a waste. So we will... we'll end up doing something. I just don't know what it is just yet. But yeah, I have been playing a lot of They Are Billions and Paladins. Oh, that's just fun. We'll end up doing a little more of, the Just Chatting thing coming up the following week. And I'm not going to be practicing fucking grinds like that, especially because I'll be doing it 4-man. I'm not too worried about making it the very first day, because odds are, depending on what time it actually launches, I might actually be doing this. Since it does launch on Friday, I don't know what time they're going to be releasing it, but I might be in the middle of a podcast. So I may get a little bit of a late start on it, but as long as I'm able to start power leveling people by the end of the weekend, I'll be good to go. Guys, thank you so much again for coming in, hanging out, and doing all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to be getting out of here. Is there anything that I should look at for next week, since it is kind of like an open week? Anything at all? If there is, let me know. You can leave it in here. You can leave it on the Facebook page. You can leave it in... send me a message. Drop hands below waist. Okay, hands below waist. Got you. I don't know what this is doing. Anyway. Again, guys, thank you very much, and I will talk to you guys again later. Have a good one, guys. I'm out. Oh, actually, hold on. Before I leave, let me find somebody to raid. Because people deserve the looks and the views and all that other stuff. I kind of feel like I'm always dropping people on Micro Pony. Let's go check out Diablo and see if there is anyone in Diablo that needs a couple of extra viewers. Oh. Ah, fuck, I went to the wrong